Hello, listeners. Yamina here. Welcome to this very special resilience episode of the Dr. GPCR podcast. While we work on bringing you weekly new episodes of the podcast starting in September, here is a previously never released conversation I had with a previous podcast guest. Before jumping into this episode, I want to take a moment to talk to you about the upcoming Dr. GPCR Summit held between September 14 and 18, 2020. This summit is unlike any other meeting you've attended, and we are very excited about it. Our goal is to allow everyone in the GPCR community to get access to talks through the entire length of the event, independently of their time zone. This means that presenters will have the option of providing a pre-recorded talk or giving a live presentation. Think of it as a Netflix type of GPCR Summit. For more details, visit drgpcr.com/summit-2020. If you have any questions, please join our Dr. GPCR Club on LinkedIn. We also have a very special announcement to make. We are delighted to announce that we are joining forces with the Great Lakes GPCR Retreat to bring you closer to GPCR research during a live trainee event held on September 18th, 2020. And now, let's dive into our episode. Hey, Terry. How are you?
Good, Yamina. How are you?
Very good, very good. So since we spoke last time earlier this year, things have changed, and I wanted to reach back and see how you have been with the pandemic going on and how it was affecting you, your family life, your scientific life, and obviously how people are working right now in the lab or how they're managing with what's happening in the world.
Yeah, it's complicated because, the university has shut down all but sort of critical operations. We still have access to the lab if we had experiments to do that couldn't be shut down. So we made a decision, I guess, a month and a half ago to kind of stop going to the lab because Montreal being we didn't know it at the time, but Montreal being the epicenter of the disease in this country, we thought we don't regret that decision now, although we are starting to plan reopening, at least to scale back reopening with social distancing in the lab, as well as planning for social distancing between labs on our floor. So it's a logistical puzzle now that we're trying to put together.
All right. And so what are people doing? What are you doing on your everyday at home?
Well, so in the last, in the last 3 weeks, we've had a few papers accepted. We're still submitting other ones. So people have things to do, and several people in the lab have bioinformatics projects that now they have the time to kind of work on. Several others are trying to write up their thesis now in relative tranquility and isolation. So me, I am kind of overseeing that, but because of some scheduling changes for the medical school, I'm actually teaching pretty much full time. I have 30 hours in this month alone of contact time on Zoom teaching. So it really never stopped being busy for me. And all my other administrative responsibilities, I spend a lot of time on Zoom, but the work goes on, and we're trying to get back in the lab.
That's great. Congratulations on the papers. I was wondering when you posted it on Facebook if those papers were the ones that we were talking about earlier in February when we were talking. You had mentioned that you submitted a paper and you were expecting it to be rejected.
Well, it did get rejected several times, and it's now at another journal. No, the ones that got accepted were not ones that we talked about. They're one is in science in scientific reports on a BRET-based platform to capture signaling downstream of the beta-1 adrenergic receptor. That's in collaboration with the Bouvier lab and several other colleagues. And then another one is just a little review article that we wrote which is related to the one that we talked about earlier on transcriptional regulation and drug targets associated with that. But so yeah, those other two papers that we did talk about, they're still under review. One we hope for an answer soon, and one we're happy because it's gone out to review at a decent journal. So
we'll great. See. That's fantastic. And you keep in touch with people in the lab through Zoom? Do you talk to your students every day, or how do you manage that?
So we have a lab meeting every Monday, and we have a journal club every Friday, and I usually end up speaking with them, several times a week, either through Slack or through Zoom or through email or by telephone, right? So I'm kind of watching them, seeing that they're okay, and most of them have built their little networks online, and so this Thursday, I guess it's today, Tuesday, we have a faculty versus student trivia night on Zoom. So we're kind of gearing up for that. Hopefully it's stuff, before 2010, in which case I'll be good.
That's great. That's great. So it's more physical distancing than social distancing in that sense.
Oh yes. So you don't want anybody to be left behind. Like McGill, like most big internationally known universities, there are a lot of students who come from different places. They're away from their families, and we want to make sure that they're not feeling abandoned, or right. And you also have to manage now with the reopening with students who have asthma, students who have other underlying conditions. The problem with public transit being the epicenter of the pandemic in this country. So lots of things to manage, but I think for now anyway, it doesn't seem like the 2 months have gone by pretty fast for me. But I'll be happy when I can get back to work in my normal fashion.
Absolutely. So one last question before I let you go. What are your thoughts about a vaccine? Everybody's talking about vaccine. Every company is racing towards a vaccine. We all know that it's easier said than done. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, so I think there's going to be a vaccine, and I think some people were kind of opting for a vaccine based on challenge trials. So some people would get the placebo and the active virus. I don't think that's a good idea because we don't really have good drugs to deal with the disease when people get sick. So I think in 2 or 3 months we'll have a better handle on how well remdesivir works, how well some of the combinations that have come out in trials in the last week actually deal with the disease once you get it. If we have a way to control the disease and keep people from getting really sick, I think we can go to challenge trials more rapidly. If not, we're going to be stuck doing sort of slow vaccine development. But I'm hopeful that we'll be able to do challenge trials. But as I look in the literature, there's just a couple weeks ago, there are at least 90 different vaccine trials. One of them, hopefully, will end up working. But it's complicated now by the fact that the one country we used to look to for kind of guiding the process is sort of gone, right? The U.S. is kind of imploded in many ways, in terms of how it's managed and how it's functioning. So, that's not helping things for sure. When the president of the United States is telling people to drink bleach and try untested medicines.
Not good. I think one of the biggest problems here in the US is the fact that we don't know what we don't know. Things are not documented, so you don't know which hospital has what in terms of masks, in terms of any type of PPE, but also in terms of staff and in terms of space to treat these patients. And it's
not really better here.
I'm sorry?
It's not really better here, right? Even I think that they're not really well prepared for dealing with it here either.
It is just hard.
Nobody knows what to do. It's something that's been coming that none of us really prepared for. We knew what we had to do. We knew when we had to do it, but we never did it. So now we're living with the consequences of that. So.
And we didn't know how to get prepared for it. We can just hope for the best. And I watch the news regularly, and you look at different countries and everybody's trying to do their best, but sometimes it just doesn't happen on time, especially now with this disease that you can have a bunch of symptoms and it's very difficult to say who is going to get sick or who is going to die from it and who is going to just, sneeze and cough and move on from there. It's hard.
And honestly, it could be worse, right? This disease, most people survive, right?
Yes.
When the next one comes, let's hope we learn something from this one.
I really hope so.
I think we could have been prepared, right? People have been warning us that these things are coming, but we ignored the warnings. And it's going to cost us, it's going to cost the economy, which is kind of not really relevant, but it's going to cost people who are fragile because of the economy, right? Those are the people we have to protect, not big corporations who, are probably in a sense part of the cause, right? Globalization is not something that is without its consequences here, right? So
definitely not. So we can hope for the best, and hopefully that one of those 90 candidates will make it, and we can all get back to a new normal.
Yeah, that's what it is, a new normal.
Thank you so much, Terry. Stay safe.
Yamina. You too. Stay safe. Thanks for checking in.
Thanks. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Thank you for listening to this very special podcast episode. We hope you enjoyed it. We look forward to having you attend the Dr. GPCR Summit held in September. If you'd like to present your work, don't forget to visit drgpcr.com/summit-2020-explained. Thank you to Attila Forrest. Music and sound by Rosa Bershish. We also want to take a moment to thank our very talented and dedicated science communicators, Shivani Sajdev and Jean Paik. I'm your host, Dr. Yamina Bershish. Thank you for the privilege of your time, and until next time, stay safe.